लास्ट टाइम हमने एक शो किया था और उस एपिसोड में हमने बात की थी रामायण के बारे में और हमने बुलाया था परिधि और लक्ष्य को। उस पॉडकास्ट के बाद हमें इतने इतने रिव्यूज, इतने सारे एनेक्डोट्स, इतने सारे फीडबैक सुनाई दिए कि ठान ही लिया कि एक सेकंड पार्ट तो बनता है। और इस बार हम डिस्कस करेंगे वन ऑफ द ग्रेटेस्ट टेल्स ऑफ ऑल टाइम, महाभारत। And with us, we have Paridhi. What do you think is the moral of Mahabharata?
Humans have to learn how to control themselves and the mind. Don't let your five senses and the sense organs control you.
I feel like personally, my favorite character from the entire tale is Karna.
Karna's biggest sacrifice was that knowing he could kill the four Pandavas who are Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul and Sahadeva, he did not.
Do you think that was unfair?
Almost everything that happened to Angraj was unfair.
When it comes to Mahabharata, who do you think is the most underrated character?
One is Gandhari and then the other is Dushala. In the Kurukshetra, she was forced to see 100 of her kids being killed by Bhim. In the book, Draupadi was in love with Suryaputra Karna. Karna was deeply in love with her. Whatever I've read, I don't completely believe it and I don't completely go against it.
I just want to know your opinion on Shakuni Mama.
जो भी शकुनी ने किया है, it was positive to the Pandavas, but they were unaware. Unknowingly, it was negative to the Kauravas. He was out to kill the Kauravas. After Shakuni was killed, the same person who regretted killing Shakuni was killed.
Why?
She went to Bhim. She held a pot of poison. She said that I'm going to gulp this down if Kichak touches me one more time. The one person who did not do well when it came to the duties of the husband, the duties to Panchali, was Yudhishthir. I think even Bhim is an ignored character. We never acknowledge that he didn't kill for glory or for victory. He killed and killed and killed for Panchali. शिशुपाल न्यू कि उसके पास ये वरदान है कि 100 गलतियों के बाद ही मैं मरूंगा. So he was using it. First he called Krishna Pakhandi, then he insulted him, then he insulted Kunti, he insulted Panchali and he went as far to insult Radha. He even said that जब इसको 16,008 पत्नी से इसका मन नहीं भरा तब ये पांचाल गया. That's what Shishupal said. And honestly Shishupal, rest in suffering. Years later, when they asked him who is greater, he said, who are Pandavas, who are Kauravas, who is Bhim, who is Arjun? I saw only Krishna being killed, only Krishna killing. Only Krishna is the winner, only Krishna is the winner.
Action. Helloooo. Very nice. Helloooo. Welcome back to Just Kidding with Sid, a podcast, a show where I talk with kids and try to understand life, mythology, relationships, maths, education, and whatnot in the most nuanced manner. And with us, we have Paridhi. Yo, you're back again. How does it feel to be back?
Great.
Great?
Great.
How was the response of the last podcast? What did people say to you?
I read only one comment and they were like, where did the kids find out? Please contact the parents.
And they were also asking like,
Yes.
where did you read this all
Yes,
from and all
yes.
that. And a lot of good feedback coming your way. Everyone is asking like, who are their parents? Please tag them so we can also ask them how to grow such children. But I'm very proud of you. I'm very happy that we did it last time. और इस बार एक ऐसा टॉपिक है जिसके बारे में मैंने कभी मेरे दोस्तों से, मतलब बच्चों से तो छोड़ो ही, मैंने दोस्तों से भी बात नहीं की है. सो टुडे वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट महाभारत,
Yes.
a tale which has multiple parallel stories happening at the same time. और ट्रैक नहीं रहता कहाँ पे क्या चल रहा है. यहाँ पे कृष्णा is kind of narrating and orchestrated the entire tale. He knows what is happening. He knows everything that is happening. But on the other hand, there are so many, like hundreds of characters, if I'm not wrong, who have their own stories. What do you think is the moral of Mahabharata?
The moral of the Mahabharata. Okay, that's a little confusing because there are too many stories.
Okay.
But the moral of the Mahabharata from like the Kuru side of the family, I would say that the moral is you should never be filled with like hate from like sir se pair tak. Like Duryodhan was not filled with hate. He was just like उसका दिमाग पे control नहीं था. He was not controlling the mind. Ulta was like his mind was controlling him. So when Krishna tried to explain to him कि धर्म अधर्म ऐसे होता है, he said, "Do not talk to me about dharma. I already know what is right, what's wrong. I can't help it because it's my brain which is like functioning that
Making
way."
me do it. Right. But when I say moral, what is that one learning from Mahabharata that stayed with you?
Mahabharata is that humans make mistakes,
Right.
obviously, and humans have to learn how to control themselves and the mind,
Hmm.
the body. In the Bhagavad Gita, it's written that don't let your five senses and the sense organs control you.
Hmm.
Control them in turn, and then your mind will not be your enemy but your friend.
Right. I feel like personally, my favorite character from the entire tale is Karna. And there are so many reasons, because the kind of compassion that he had as a human being, as a character, it stayed with me, because even after going through so many sacrifices, so many disappointments, and where he felt that he's not getting the justice that he deserves, still he endured, and b he gave up on things that mattered to him the most. What do you think is the beauty of Karna?
Okay, so starting off, Karna was a very Vaisa kind of person. Like, he knows that this is not right, this is injustice to me, but he's silent about it. He doesn't go saying that this is injustice. And when Bhim laughed at him at the very start at the contest, he did not try to kill Bhim.
Hmm.
Instead, he bowed his head and he turned to walk before Duryodhan like turned him to Angaraj and that all. But I think that Karna's biggest sacrifice, which I think that I find the best in Karna, was that knowing that he could kill the four Pandavas who were Yudhishthir, Bhim, Nakul and Sahadeva, he did not. But when he tried to kill Arjun, he knew that this is my younger brother. I'm trying to kill my own brother, my blood. And so he's like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because it will ruin my honor and that all. So knowing that he was cursing his brother with lifelong guilt, he let Arjun kill him.
Hmm.
He sacrificed so much, went through so much, and in the end, instead of like falling down and that all, he raised his hand in forgiveness, and then Arjun killed him.
Do you think that was unfair to
That
Karna?
was unfair. Almost everything that happened to Angaraj was unfair.
Then what could he have done?
For example, at the start of the Swayamvar, he could have forced Drishtadyumna away and he could have taken Panchali's or Draupadi's hand in marriage. But he didn't do that. Instead, he walked back. Then secondly, when Kunti and Krishna both told him that he was a Pandav, he could have taken what he knowingly declined was the path of righteousness.
Hmm.
But still, on the Kaurava side of the war, after Drona's beheaded, he said that ki, I cannot promise you safety, but I can say that whoever wins, Yudhishthir or Duryodhan, will take care of you. All I ask of you now is to be a good soldier and do your duty. This is about dharma, and if you don't do these in the last days of your life, you will rot in Naraka. Nobody wants to endure that. I mean,
Hmm.
duh.
Hmm. Again, like this was the one question that I asked last time also to you,
Hmm.
you guys. But this comes to my mind all the time. But when it comes to Mahabharata, who do you think is the most underrated character?
The most underrated. It has to be. There are two actually. One is Gandhari, and then the other is Dushala.
Okay, I know nothing about Dushala. Okay, let's talk with. Let's start with Gandhari.
Gandhari. Okay, firstly, Gandhari. Let me talk about her backstory first. After Gandhari was born, there was a prophecy that her first husband would die. So, when she came of age, the Gandhar Naresh married her to a goat, and
Okay.
then they killed the goat. What happened next was that she married Dhritarashtra, and then when Dhritarashtra found out, she was forced to watch her own family rot in prison with only one handful of rice for everyone, and everything was given to Shakuni.
Hmm.
I'll discuss that later.
Hmm.
Even knowing that her family would rot in hell, she did not go against Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra forgot that they did this for his own well-being.
Hmm.
Then afterwards, in the Kurukshetra, she was forced to see 100 of her kids being killed by Bhim, her nephew. And then afterwards, she cursed Krishna, and then that only caused her sorrow.
Hmm.
So everything that she went with, I think, is not praised enough in the Mahabharata. Then talking about Dushala, Dushala is the 101st child of Gandhari.
Gandhari, right. Hmm.
And then she watched 100 of her brothers die. There was one more brother, a son of Dhritarashtra's maid, who gave up on the war. Who she watched her own husband die, his head roll in the lap of her father-in-law, and then her father-in-law also she watched dying.
Hmm.
Because Jayadrat was her husband. Arjun beheaded him, and his head went on to her father-in-law's lap, and he said that whoever makes my son's head roll on the floor will die. And he was in meditation. When he opened his eyes and he stood up, Jayadrat's head rolled on the ground. So he died. Thus, watching half of her family just perish like that, I think Dushala is not praised enough, not even mentioned enough in the Mahabharata.
Hmm. What have you read when it comes to Mahabharata?
I've read the main things. Then in this book,
Can you show it to the camera?
yes,
Because last time I think we couldn't show it properly.
in this book there are a few things more. This is more detailed on Shyam's part of the story. It's by Devdutt Patnaik, and there are a few details in the Mahabharata which are not mentioned in the kids Mahabharata.
What is something, and the second one is this Palace of Illusions, which is
Yes.
very common. Like I think most of us have read, most of us like millennials and Gen Zs also. Do you think there is something missing in these books, or is there any misinformation in this book?
Not not like confirmed misinformation, but whatever I've read, I don't completely believe it, and I don't completely go against it.
Okay.
And this is nothing related to the Mahabharata whatsoever, so it's more on Krishna and the Harivamsh. But that one, there are quite a few misinformations, such as in the book, Draupadi was in love with Suryaputra Karna. So that's one of the misinformations.
कहानी में twist.
Then there is that ki Drishtadyumna was killed by like choke. Some say he was choked to death by Ashwathama alongside Shikhandi, the brother sister of his siblings, and the Pandavas, the main sons of the Pandavas, yani ki Draupadi's sons. And some say that they were choked to death, some say that they were burnt to death, some say they were beheaded.
Okay. Okay, that's completely fine. I mean, these are just technical details. But one raging question, like we were discussing about this even before the podcast. Uh, I just want to know your opinion on Shakuni Mama.
Okay, so the thing is, like I said, he watched his entire family perish in prison. Then his father, before dying, said that take my backbone, the spine, then turn it into a dice, and it will give you any number that you wish for.
Okay.
So whenever you're playing dice ka game, yani gambling or youth, you will win. And make sure that you use whatever you get against this guru. So क्या होता है कि जो भी शकुनी ने किया है, it was positive to the Pandavas, but they were unaware, and like unknowingly it was negative to the Kauravas. So उसने शकुनी ने वो ऐसे ही करते ही जा रहा था. What we label as evil or wicked was actually positive. He was out to kill the Kauravas, not मतलब उनको बढ़ाने का नहीं था, बदनामी का करना था उसको. And after that, doing so, he brought upon his own death willingly. And then he played the game of dice. The Cheerharan, everything the Pandavas had to go through was for the negative, for the bad of the Kauravas.
Then why is that not known to a lot of people? Why do people always show Shakuni Mama as a negative character?
Because people just hear what they want to hear.
Right. So what do you think was what could have been the right attitude by the Pandavas when that was happening? Because everyone came to the ego of all these men, right, who saw their wife being abused and also being treated badly, negatively, which shouldn't have been the right situation.
I think that the Pandavas should have immediately gone to the rescue of the woman, aka Panchali, because when she was being disrobed, while calling her to Krishna, she mentioned that my husbands have lost everything while playing, and thus they have lost their right to talk. And then later onwards, when she was being abused by Kichak, and she went to the king Virat's court during the vanvas of when their vanvas ended, they went to the king of Matsya, King Virat's court, and she was the Sairandhari to Queen Sudeshna. Kichak, Sudeshna's brother, abused her, kicked her, and threatened to take her by force. She endured. When she went to the king's court, where Kank or Yudhishthir was there, she begged him, begged the king, begged everyone for help, but they did not. So, you know what she did? She went to Bhim. She held a pot of poison. She said that I'm going to gulp this down if Kichak touches me one more time. So, I think that the one person who did not do well when it came to the duties of the husband, to the duties to Panchali, was Yudhishthir. Although Bhim was ready to give up his own life for her, Arjun went to seek Pashupat Astra for her, and Nakul Sahadev were ready to do anything for her. But Yudhishthir was like, this is dharma.
Why don't people talk enough about Nakul and Sahadev? Why are they always like overlooked?
That's because क्या है कि मेन प्लॉट में ना युधिष्ठिर played the game of dice. Arjun killed Karna. Bhim killed all the Kauravas.
Right.
So they think that the तीन जो लोग थे who killed the main characters should be the spotlight and nobody else. वैसा kind of.
तो
some
नकुल
people
सहदेव ने ऐसा क्या किया है which should be highlighted? Do you know anything about that?
Yes.
What?
One. But it only highlights Sahadev. Only.
Okay.
The killing of Shakuni was done by Sahadev.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know this. Okay.
And after Shakuni was killed, the same person who regretted killing Shakuni was Sahadev.
Okay. Why?
Because before killing Shakuni, before asking Sahadev to kill him, Shakuni talked about everything in his life, एकदम detail में, to Sahadev. Knowing that he was not the real nephew and was his sister's husband's, his brother-in-law's brother's son.
अच्छा.
How deeply, एकदम sorrowful, एकदम भरोसा के साथ he was talking to Sahadev. And after that, when he regretted everything, he was like, I'm done with my life, kill me.
You want some water?
No.
पक्का? Yeah, she's like being थोड़ा uncomfortable. कुछ हो रहा है क्या?
नहीं.
सर्दी नहीं हो रही है ना? हाँ. Okay. So yeah, we talked about Nakul Sahadeva because I wanted to have a discussion about that because they were treated as like the handsome hunks of the group. They are only all they have is just beauty and nothing else. So I don't think because it was taught to me like that also. मेरे को भी स्कूल में वैसे ही बताया कि नकुल सहदेव एकदम राम श्री राम की तरह सुंदर थे. उसके अलावा कुछ बताया नहीं है. And then when I get to listen to Karna's sacrifices, then I get to understand what Eklavya, what happened to Eklavya was also heartbreaking. What do you have to say about that?
And I'm surprised to say this, but Eklavya, you know the story, and after he cut off his thumb and gave it to Dronacharya.
Can you explain that story from the beginning?
So Eklavya was a Nishad archer and he wanted to learn from Drona. But the problem was Drona thought that he was like low born, वैसे sort of. So he did not teach. Lekin what he did was he made a sculpture of Drona, practiced before it all time. That's how he became a very good archer. So good that he shut a dog's mouth with arrows without injuring.
Eklavya.
And then when Drona came searching, he asked कि दाएं हाथ का thumb दो मेरे को. He gave it. लेकिन चार हाथ से भी he could do archery. Later in the Kurukshetra, he was killed by Krishna with the Sudarshan Chakra.
So it was due to Dronacharya. He couldn't do archery properly.
He could.
He could.
Yes. With 4 he had practiced so much that 4 ungli se bhi he could do it.
So how did he die if he was so powerful? Why did he die?
I didn't go in that deep, but I read.
बट ये एकलव्य के बारे में ज़्यादा बात नहीं होती है, बस एक ही सैक्रिफाइस के बारे में बात होती है, विच इज़ अभिमन्यु सैक्रिफाइस.
Yes.
If you were in the place of Abhimanyu, how could you have strategized the entire, uh, the entire battle? Because Kurukshetra में, what is that called?
Chakravyuh.
चक्रव्यूह. चक्रव्यूह के अंदर जब घुसना था, तभी स्ट्रैटेजी थी, बट वो वर्क नहीं की. बट व्हाट डू यू थिंक कुड हैव
I
वर्कड?
think the dumbest thing that was done in this plot was like कि सब लोग अलग अलग रथ में आ रहे थे. Like why couldn't you guys have just traveled on the same chariot? फिर सब लोग एक साथ जा सकते थे. Simple.
भाई साहब, तभी सबके पास ओला का ओटीपी नहीं था ना.
But I think that although he learned, fun fact, he learned how to enter the Chakravyuh when he was still inside Subhadra's womb.
How? Oh yeah, I've heard about it, but how is that possible?
By Krishna. Krishna was saying it. So,
Oh, I mean, biologically that's not possible.
yes, obviously not. And I think that after learning कि अंदर कैसे जाना था, he should have also asked Krishna how to exit the thing.
Hmm.
अगर वो नहीं पूछा था तो फिर he would have obviously died.
So that's the power of asking questions.
The power of curiosity.
The power of curiosity. Abhimanyu was not curious enough, guys. That's the problem. Curiosity is the only answer that you need. Um, when you think about when you read Mahabharata, is there a point of time when you feel that your heart is burning with so much of pain? Is there any incident that broke your heart?
Cheerharan.
Cheerharan of?
Cheerharan Panchalika, of course. And then the same part where she was abused by Kichak. I feel that there are so many women and gender neutral people. There is a story I've read about who are not praised enough.
Okay.
Ki, for example, Dushala, Gandhari, Kunti as well. Kunti watched like one of her sons die, knowing that she brought it about.
Hmm.
Then Panchali died of her own will.
Hmm.
When they went on the Himalaya journey, she put her foot out of the mountain and jumped.
Hmm. That is where you felt sadness. Hmm. And what is your aha moment in the entire, like, wow, this is so freaking amazing, surprising? ऐसा कुछ moment आया कोई story में?
हाँ.
कौन सा?
So like there was this part of the story when Duryodhan tried to chain Krishna जब when he went for the peace mission
हाँ.
over there.
हाँ.
He said that Dushshasan, I will chain him, you help me. तो वो लोग बांध रहे थे. Then when Duryodhan looked again, it was not Krishna, but it was Dushshasan whom he had chained.
Hmm.
When he was trying to imprison and capture Krishna, वो ऐसे chain बांध रहा था. एक सेकंड के लिए कहीं और देखा. When he looked again, Krishna नहीं था. Who was in place of Krishna? Dushshasan.
Hmm.
And Krishna was standing behind him.
Hmm.
Then he showed the Vishwaroop, and then he was like, and that moment when he showed the Vishwaroop to the entire Kaurava court, Dhritarashtra could see him.
Wow. That's very intriguing. Why have I never, like, I don't remember any of the tales. It's so crazy because, like, I read all of this many years ago, but then I come to know about so many new characters I never heard of. Like, Barbarik
Yes.
is one of the most intriguing characters I've ever stumbled upon. What do you know? What do you think the world should know about Barbarik?
He was very, very powerful. He said that ki,
Who's Barbarik?
and he was so powerful, he could end the entire war in 1 minute.
Hmm.
Sort of like Balram. दोनों side से चाहिए, but he didn't go to any side.
Hmm.
But completely opposite.
Hmm.
He wanted to go to both sides at the same time. और how he was planning to do it, कि जो भी side weak होते जा रहा है, he would go to that side.
Hmm.
What he did was कि Krishna asked him, he pointed at a tree and said that, get me all the leaves from that tree in one arrow. He did it. Then the arrow started hovering around Krishna's feet. Why? There was a leaf hidden from that same tree under his foot.
Oh.
At the same spot where the arrow years later was like shot at the death of Krishna.
Okay.
वहीं पे ही same spot में leaf छुपा था.
Acha. Then what happened?
Then he said that you are very powerful. May I ask one boon of you? Barbarik said, yes, it's my vow. I will grant you any boon. So he said, give me your head.
Hmm.
Then he beheaded him, put him on a mountain top, said that you can see the entire Mahabharata from here.
Huh.
Years later, when they asked him who is greater, he said, who are Pandavas, who are Kauravas, who is Bhim, who is Arjun? I saw only Krishna being killed, only Krishna killing. Only Krishna is the winner, only Krishna is the loser.
Wow. Beautiful perspective. Beautiful. Um, when you think about all these Pandavas, all the five Pandavas, this is a very romantic question. Who do you think was truly in love with Draupadi?
Bhim.
Bhim. Okay, why? Tell me.
It's written in that Palace of Illusions as what I read was ki Bhim found her very, very beautiful, very attractive, and he was fully in love with her, but she was in love with Arjun. Poor Bhim. And Arjun always being the
Main character
Ha.
energy. Yeah.
Arjun always, I think even Bhim is an ignored character. We never acknowledge that usne bhi, he also killed, and he didn't kill for glory or for victory. He killed and killed and killed for Panchali.
Mm.
That's the worst.
Yeah, I think like even Bhim did all of it. Like he did not have. Arjun had a lot of reasons. I'm pretty sure. Like
Yes.
because he had gone through a lot of internal battles that he was portraying and
Yeah.
with his interactions. Yeah, with interactions with Krishna. But I think Bhim only had one reason, and nobody talked about it, and
It's Panchali.
which was Panchali. But Panchali, why did Panchali love Arjun more than Bhim?
Because she saw the, you know how before marriage in the old days they saw ki the picture, the painted picture of everybody. She saw him. She found him most handsome, and she was like, okay, this is the guy I want to marry. And I want the rest of them only to be my brother-in-law. And what she got, and poor Bhim found this out only after Panchali died. युधिष्ठिर told. And did you know that इस book में लिखा है कि युधिष्ठिर knew all along कि Panchali was in love with Karna, but he never said it. At the moment of death, she could hear everyone talking. She was like, Yudhishthir said that she's only in love with one of us. Bhim asked who was it. Then Panchali held her breath. Is he gonna say Karna? Is he gonna say Karna? And then he said it very fast to conceal everything. Arjun. It was Arjun. She found him most attractive.
Oh, banter, nice banter they had, it seems. No? But Yudhishthir did not love her? You don't think so?
Karna was deeply in love with her.
Yeah, so he knew that.
No, he did not know that Panchali was in love with him.
Oh.
He never found that out, unfortunately.
Who do you think was the green flag of Mahabharata? Greenest flag.
Kanha.
Karna. Of course. Give me one strong reason why.
I think that we should not portray him just as a charioteer anymore. Like, he was not just a Rathi. Oh my god. And the biggest reason why is that he taught everyone in a way that even the wisest couldn't understand.
Yeah. What do you think is the wisest shlok or the wisest teaching that he told Arjuna?
It's that the supreme, there's only one. Only one. He has manifested all of you. Whenever you say, I will, you're just carrying out his will.
Hmm.
Matlab not that will, the other will.
Got it. Got it. What have you learnt about love through the stories of Mahabharata?
I think I have the answer in this.
Tell me.
So there was, like I once mentioned, that women and gender neutral. It's that love needn't always be forced. Matlab, there's one story in that there was a sacrifice to be conducted for the victory of the Pandavas. It was a human sacrifice
Hmm.
of only a perfect man with all the 33 gunas. 36, I meant. The three men were only there. Krishna, who obviously can't be killed. Arjun, who also obviously can't be killed. And Arjun's son from a Naga princess, Iravan.
Okay.
He said, okay, but I want to be died.
Mm.
I want to die a married man.
Mm.
And I want to die, and when I die, I want my wife to cry like a widow should. And do you know who was that person who married him? Because none of them wanted to marry him, obviously. Nobody wanted to be a widow just 3 hours after marriage. This person, you can take a guess who it was.
I don't want to take a guess because
Shyam.
internet. Acha. Okay.
Krishna. Krishna took the form of Mohini
Uh-huh.
and he married.
Okay.
Then after Iravan died, she or he or they or them or whatever cried and cried and cried and mourned a lot until he actually came back to his normal man form.
Hmm.
So I think this is not a very well known story. And one more thing in this, this is a more focused on Radha-Krishna than Mahabharata. It is that Uddhava, his charioteer, went to tell him that he was moving to Dwarka. He said that, move on. Shyam was there. Now he's gone. Move on, Uddhava said. Radha said, leave and move on. Never. He might be the black bee who sucks honey and moves on to another flower, but we are the flowers that have embraced this man. We have known this man all our lives, and just move on. You can attain the still and subtle moksha, but leave us with the sweet suffering Maya.
So beautiful. That is so well explained. Yeah. Do you remember all these words or like you are speaking in your language? Do you remember all these words
Yes.
the way it is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So रट्टोफाइड ही कर दिया पूरा उसको.
And my mom was like, पूरा पढ़ जाने से पहले पढ़.
But nobody tells you to read all of this in your school, right?
Nope.
Nobody does.
It's my hobby.
You think people should, teachers should?
Yeah.
But then everyone would know about it. Then you won't be special.
That's the point. Okay, I have something to say about Duryodhan and Dushshasan. I have something very important to say. People say ki the Kauravas were evil. Yuyutsu especially wasn't, because when he found out what was done to Panchali and everything, he cut off his arms and he was like, no, thank you, bye bye. And I think that there is no evil, there's no villain, there's no hero, there's no main character, there's nothing. There's no wicked, there's no evil. In the eyes of God, everyone is just one.
But don't you think the villain, the evil, is also
like if they're really evil, like so evil that oh my god, their name means evil, then of course not. Like for example, King Vane was very evil, so he was killed, and his son was an unknown avatar of Vishnu. Prithu, King Prithu. Unknown, nobody knows.
Do you think the ऐसा लगता है कि तुम्हें ये जेंडर न्यूट्रल होना चाहिए ये सारे कैरेक्टर्स?
I didn't
You
understand.
said like it's a gender neutral perspective, right?
Sometimes, some of them.
Some of them. So not everyone you cannot
No.
be sure about. You can be sure about most of it, but some of it you cannot be.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think there was a reason for Mahabharata to happen?
Of course.
What was the reason?
The reason was mentioned thousands of times in every single book I've read so far. It was that there are evil kings and the earth needs to be cleansed of them so that the third age of man can finally collapse and bring out the worst and the most fear of the yugas, the Kali Yuga.
So it was destined to happen.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And everybody who was making a part in it, especially Panchali, was told ki you will bring up the great war. But it was not ki the wheel of the war is like you're pushing it, you're just giving it a little nudge. So it was bound to happen. कुछ भी कर लो होएगा ही.
Right. और कोई ऐसी अननोन कहानी है?
हाँ.
क्या है? बताओ.
So it was dawn and everybody was ready to fight, but Krishna was running everywhere looking for his peacock feather. Yudhishthir said, "We are getting ready for war. Why are you looking around for your peacock feather?" So Madhav replied, For you, Yudhishthir, this is a march to dharma. But for me, it's just something random because I follow dharma every day, every moment of my life. So aesthetics matter at the same time. Everything has to be done simultaneously.
This came out of nowhere, man. ये क्या था? Was he a Pookie? I think we can confirm that Krishna was a Pookie, right?
He was very... I want to say something terrible that is happening about Krishna.
हाँ.
सब लोग उनका स्किन टोन चेंज करते जा रहे हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ही वॉज वेरी डार्क स्किन, ब्लैक स्किन actually, but everybody portrays him as blue, even white skinned, which I'm surprised I'm saying it. Actors, for example, Radha-Krishna mein it was Sumed Mudgalkar, then it was in Suryaputra Karna Saurabh Pandey, then there are so many more actors that were white skinned but were told to play Krishna.
Yeah. But you think it was black only? He was black skinned.
He was black skinned.
Achha.
He's described as black skinned, narrow shoulders, broad hips, wild flowers, peacock feather, sandalwood paste, and dolphin shaped earrings.
That is the actual representation of Krishna.
It's written in this.
But that might also be wrong,
Yes.
right?
It could be, but most of the books say that he's dark skinned.
But why do people change the skin tones? What do you think is
Because it has to be aesthetically pleasing.
So they are learning from Krishna only. Pani pilo. What do you think? What is the iron body?
Gandhari had this boon कि अगर उन्होंने पट्टी निकाला, भस्म भी बना सकती है और मतलब बलशाली भी बना सकती है. Wow, both start with B. And then she can do anything after she takes down her patti. She asked for Duryodhan to come bare-bodied, but when he was going, Krishna said, "Arey, you're going near your mother na? She hasn't seen you ever since you were born. Wrap something around your loins." He did that, but he didn't wrap any cloth. Actually, he wrapped a banana leaf, and then he went. When Gandhari pura iron body bana di, she was disappointed because pura bare body nahi aaya tha. He was having some cloth over him. That's the reason why जंघा तोड़ के मारा था उसको. And he was actually just rotting to death. He didn't immediately die.
But Duryodhan, do you think he had that negative image? He was a negative person?
Look, I had mentioned it.
Okay.
Ki he he can't control his mind. He knows that dharma ye hai, adharma ye hai, dharma ye hai, adharma ye hai, but he can't control it. He can't help it. So yeah, he wasn't a negative person, but his mind was negative.
Which is the same thing, right, with all the human beings, right? It's just we look the same. I mean, like we look different, but in a way we feel the same way. But our narrow vessel has this sense of brain, this part of our brain, which does not operate. For some people, it does not tell this part of the brain that, hey, you need to calm down. Don't think about just hurting someone. Just think about something positive. So, this part of our brain allows us to behave optimistically and logically. But those evil people, this part of their brain dominates this part, which is the reason psychology that I think. But even if you don't have to tap on psychology, I feel we should tap on um, the mythological side by also stating some loopholes for Mahabharata.
Loopholes, yani? I'm a little confused.
Some gaps, like some wrong things. मतलब कहानी में ये गलत है, वो गलत है, तुम्हें कुछ ऐसे loopholes लगता है. Because at the end it's a कहानी. It's not reality. We can confirm or can't we? We can't.
I'm unsure.
You're unsure. So let me be sure of the fact that it's not real. And these are just stories that we listen to and learn from.
Unless Ashwatthama is really alive.
कहाँ है भाई? Do you believe Ashwatthama is still alive?
There's one story as proof.
Okay.
You know Prithviraj Chauhan, na? No, not any celebrity, like the king. The king. So like he was known for being kind, compassionate, a great warrior, but also great at Ayurveda.
Right.
So he found a man walking with his forehead bleeding completely. He was like, I'm good at Ayurveda, I can help you. We know Prithviraj Chauhan was alive. We know that. We can confirm it. Then he said, okay, you can try, but it won't work. He tried everything, nothing worked. When the man was leaving, Prithviraj asked him, are you Ashwatthama? He replied, yes, I'm Ashwatthama.
Okay. And you believe in that?
If Prithviraj was alive, I could believe in it.
What is the most intriguing part about Ashwatthama's character?
It's that how he switched souls. Ki when Drona was so poor that he couldn't even drink milk, he was very humble. Lekin jaise he turned into a prince, he was like, okay, ego mode on and that's not the only bad deed he did. He killed the Pandavas. He killed Draupadi's sister. Draupadi's sister / brother and her other brother. He killed half of Yagasini's family. And not only did he kill Drishtadyumna, her brother, he also killed her main support in life, which is very evil. And for that reason, Krishna cursed Ashwatthama ki you're never gonna die. You're never gonna, but not in the good way, in the bad way. He would suffer. He would suffer a lot.
Yeah.
And then भीम ने क्या किया, वो जो इधर एक gemstone जैसे कुछ था, which would keep him safe, and Bhim tore that out of his forehead.
जो जैसे थानोस ने वो विजन का निकाल दिया हो मार्वल में.
No, but he tore it out so hard that it started bleeding. That's why.
Damn. I'm getting to learn a lot from you. I have forgotten everything. I'm like, ये हम सबके लिए relearning हो रहा है और unlearning भी हो रहा है, I think. So thank you so much for teaching us all of that. When it comes to all these characters, like we always talk about characters, but most of these events wouldn't have happened if there were not curses given to each other.
Yeah.
Right? Because a curse leads to a situation where the other person or the situation has to demand in a certain way that confirms that curse. Do you recall any curse which played the biggest role in this entire tale?
It's related to Karn.
Okay.
Which led to his death. He got multiple curses. One by Mother Earth, which he said that he found a girl who had lost her butter in the mud. So he squeezed the butter out of the mud. So Mother Earth replied with a curse, saying that the day when you need me most, I will suck your wheel into my body. That's why uska chariot ka jo wheel tha, it went into the earth and he was trying to pull it out. Then he got a curse from a rishi. And he was cursed because he accidentally killed the rishi's cow. By mistake. He didn't mean it, obviously. And he was cursed ki you too will be killed when you're defenseless. ऐसे इतने सारे श्राप हो चुके उसको कि poor thing actually died. Even though Krishna could have prevented it by telling Arjun, he did not.
Yeah. But he was destined to die.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. You cannot change that. Can you narrate me the story of how all the Pandavas died?
Okay. Pandavas, along with Panchali, left. Parikshit was crying. Parikshit was Arjun's grandson by Subhadra. And he was begging them not to leave yet. But they did. They went to the Himalayas on a journey for peace. So ek karke they were all dying. Draupadi went down because of her own thing. She jumped and died. Then next was Sahadev, who also jumped. Then Sahadev and Nakul fell. Then Arjun, then Bhim. But Yudhishthir walked alone with a dog. The dog was Dharma, or his father. And he walked and walked and walked until he reached Swargalok. There, uska pehla test mila usko. It was that you can enter but the dog can't. So he said, the dog has followed me faithfully, so you have to let him enter. Then when he asked where his brothers were, because he only found Duryodhan, Shakuni, and the rest of the Kauravas, except for Yuyutsu. And then when he went down to hell, where he was led, he saw the familiar voices. Then he realized there were the voices of his brothers, Karna, Panchali, Bhishma, Drona, and his sons and his brother-in-law. So he said that I want to remain here with my actual family. I will rot in hell and be loyal to my family, but I won't enjoy the pleasures of heaven if I'm not being loyal to those who supported me my entire life. That was his second and final test. Uske baad he saw lights coming out of nowhere around him, and then he went transported up to heaven, and he found that all of his actual family was there.
Wow. Is it true that when they said like whoever has died in front of Krishna has gone to the heaven?
No, that's not one of the only things. Who has died at the hands of Krishna?
Matlab by the hands of Krishna. But Krishna never killed anyone. Like, I mean, like, voluntarily he did not kill anyone, right? It was through someone else that he was making it happen.
No. By that, do you mean that he did not kill anyone, but he was making someone else?
Yeah.
No, he did kill.
Who did he kill?
He killed Shishupal firstly.
Oh, yeah.
Then he killed Kans. He killed Jarasan. He killed Putna.
But that was before the Mahabharata, na? I'm saying during the war.
During the war, he was about to kill Pitama. But Arjun stopped him.
Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Hmm.
Then Eklavya ka bhi, it was during, before or after. Do you know that it is because of Krishna कि हमेशा it was the perfect amount of food for all the soldiers? Perfect amount, not more, not less, not even an inch more or less.
Oh, equality.
Do you know how that happened though?
Huh.
The king of Udupi wanted to fight, but he did not know which side he wanted to go to. Then he said that I will cook for the sides. Do you know how he found out? वो जो मूंगफली होते हैं ना, he gave them to Krishna. जितने भी बचे थे मूंगफली, that was the amount less he had to cook. For example, he gave, like, okay, I'm just saying, he might have not actually, he gave 1 million मूंगफली to Krishna. When he returned the next morning, he saw 1000 left. Okay, that means कि 1000 लोग मरने वाले in the war, and that means that 1000 people less to cook for. So that's how there was always the perfect amount of food.
Wow, I did not know that. Did any of you know that? Oh wow. कहाँ से पता चलती तुम्हें ये सब चीजें? चैट जीपीटी करते हो क्या
नहीं.
तुम?
You can ask my father, I really don't.
He's your chat GPT.
No.
Does your father have any questions? Do you want to ask a question to her?
This is the story of Drona's death.
Okay.
So they could not kill Drona. Drona had killed one of them instead, Abhimanyu. How they plotted it was crazy. उनको ये पता चला कि किसी ने बोला कि अश्वत्थामा, his son, died. He would just lay down his weapons and just sit there in the middle of the war. So what they did was very smart, because they made Bhim kill an elephant called Ashwatthama. Then they made one of the messengers tell Drona that Ashwatthama was dead. To confirm this, he asked Yudhishthir, because Yudhishthir never ever lied. Then he said, yes, it's true. But as soon as Drishtadyumna was going to behead him, एकदम यहाँ पे आ गया था चाकू, he said, but Ashwatthama the elephant.
You're very chalak, bro. That is very smart of him, no? Yeah, but you have to be smart when it comes to war, love and war. You think everything is fair in love and war?
No.
Why?
No, big no. Like, for example, Bhim was in love with Panchali, but Panchali wasn't in love with him.
Oh.
Even though,
But एक तरफा भी प्यारी होता है ना?
Then, secondly, Panchali was in love with Arjun, but Arjun wasn't in love with her.
What to do? ये तो भाई modern problems.
You could mention about that Narayani Sena.
हाँ. So, you know the art of Kalari Payattu?
I've heard about it. Yes.
So, can you guess who invented this art?
Sham.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. He taught this deadly art to the Narayani Sena, his army. That's why Duryodhan picked Narayani Sena instead of Krishna, knowing that Krishna would be the victorious one. Because he misunderstood the fact that students can't go against their guru, which was very well not put together in the Mahabharata. Pandavas going against Drona and Kripacharya.
And now this generation is also proving it right. Everyone is going against each other nowadays.
And it's crazy that the fact that even though Balram cursed Bhim, it's not working. We know Bhim as a very, very powerful Gada Yodha. Even I recently found out that Ki Duryodhan was stronger than Bhim.
Yeah, he was the strongest of all. Yeah.
Duryodhan was strong, I knew that. But I thought they were equal actually.
Acha.
But the fact that we all don't call him Gadadhari or Gada Yodha Duryodhan, but we call Bhim by that label. Ki Gadadhari ya Gada Yodha Bhim.
Because he's a positive character.
That's not
because he's a protagonist, right?
Probably because he's a protagonist.
Because he's a protagonist, of course.
Yes.
You don't have a lot of like adjectives for the villain.
Yes.
Otherwise, the people will think that we are glorifying him.
Yes.
So we'll only talk about the negative character,
Yes.
negative
Like
traits.
for example, the cheater Duryodhan, or
Ah.
people call him the woman who disrobed his own sister-in-law.
Yes. Vicious Shakuni Mama. और शकुनी मामा कुछ कुछ बोलते थे यार, लाइक जुगा, ये खेलते हैं सट्टा, सट्टाबाजी, सट्टा करने
Like,
वाला शकुनी मामा and
then-
all that.
Then do you know that Shishupal, you know Shishupal, na?
हाँ.
शिशुपाल न्यू कि उसके पास ये वरदान है कि 100 गलतियों के बाद ही मैं मरूंगा.
Hmm.
So he was using it.
Hmm.
He was like, first he called Krishna Pakhandi
हाँ.
and Bhogi. Dhogi, I don't know what that means.
हाँ.
Then he insulted him. Then he insulted Kunti. He insulted Panchali. And he went as far to insult Radha.
Hmm.
He even said that जब इसके शिशुपाल said it, I'm not saying it, Krishna is the best. So जब इसको 16,000 और 16,008 पत्नी से इसका मन नहीं भरा, तब ये पांचाल गया. That's what Shishupal said. And honestly, Shishupal, rest in suffering. Not in peace. Rest in. I do not enjoy watching any character die. It just feels very.
Yeah.
It feels very disgusting, honestly. But I only enjoy watching one character die. Do you know who's that? Kans.
Kans Mama, of course. Yeah.
Most of the other avatars of Vishnu respected their father and their father-like figures.
Right.
But when Krishna came to respect his father-like figure, aka his uncle, I'm just gonna murder him.
You enjoyed that, no? But we
also
like use it still now. Like Kans Mama is actually a legit
Used.
thing that people call each other's mamas. Like,
what?
हाँ, like
Like
ऐसे ही fun में that my mama has done, said something. I had a fight with mama और मामा ने कुछ बोल दिया. मेरे पापा ऐसे बोले तो कंस मामा है. ऐसे बात करते थे. So we do use those as adjectives nowadays only. Also, it's also
And,
applicable now. What do you think is the biggest curse of our generation?
Our generation only. My generation in particular.
Your generation.
Yes.
This is the curse.
I hate my generation.
Why?
It's just like आधे लोग in my school are like sigma. I'm like, shut up. I don't want this. I don't want to hear this. Can you let me focus on my social studies PT now?
Sigma male, sigma female.
Anyway.
They talk about these things in your school.
Yes.
Wow.
They're like, I'm like, shut up. I do not want to hear it. I do not want to hear it.
I'm glad that you know all of these things also. You're not just like studious, but you should also be aware of what's happening
Yes.
on this end.
Yes. And I'm praying for the generation that started from this year.
Acha.
Praying too much.
What is the blessing of this generation?
It's that people actually know what they're talking about. Or people don't consider every woman a witch. A witch.
पानी पी लो. पानी पी लो. आज
वरुण
फायर
देव.
पे परिधि.
वरुण देव, आ जाइए. That was funny. It's that fact that every woman in the 1500s was accused of being a witch, even though they were doing like normal human stuff. I'm glad people have knowledge like properly and education properly these days to stop calling normal human actions witchcraft.
Because I think even when we talk about Mahabharata, there was a sense of inequality which led to all of this happen, right? There was inequality. And we still are going through that process, the same
Yup.
curse that is given by the humanity that we developed by ourselves.
One of the descendants of Rama was fighting in the Kurukshetra war. I forgot his name. But can you guess what side he was fighting on?
Kauravas?
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes. He fought for the Kauravas, but I think he obviously died because half of the Kaurava army died.
Right.
Like after Karn died, I feel like Duryodhan should have stopped the war right there.
Hmm.
But he was like, after I stamped on the heads of my enemies, after I've done so much, I can't just go around begging for forgiveness.
Hmm.
And I actually agree with him on that. Although I feel like, he should have ended the war. I'm like, yes, that would actually hurt your ego and your honor.
Who do you think was the most powerful character in
Barbarik.
Mahabharata?
No, Krishna.
Krishna. See, we should not consider Krishna as the. I think because is the divine power,
Yes.
right?
The Supreme.
Supreme. Other than Krishna, who do you think was the strongest of all?
Thinking time. I have three in my mind. I can't
Tell me
choose.
one.
I can't choose because all three are equally powerful. It's Barbarik, Arjun, and Karna who are the most powerful. And Balram. No, actually, the strongest is Balram.
Balram. Why?
Yes. Because, firstly, just in case if you didn't know, the most powerful Halla Yodha and Gadha Yodha of that time was Balram. The same person who mentored Duryodhan, not Bhim. That man holds the mace like a giant cucumber. And oh my god. And of course, many others. But I think that Balram favored Duryodhan too much, in my opinion. In my opinion, of course, others might have a different perspective.
Personal choices. And who was the weakest of all?
The weakest. Okay, let me think because I actually am. There's no weak. Oh, Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra.
Of course, he was strong. No, he was strong, not Dhritarashtra.
It can be like psychologically weak also. I'm not saying like physically weak.
Of
Like
course,
anyone can influence this person.
it's Duryodhan.
Yeah.
Poor Duryodhan.
Oh God, did we just say Duryodhan was the weakest character of Mahabharata?
But
We are going to get cancelled, you know.
imagine if Duryodhan comes back to life and watches this podcast.
कौन बजा रहा है भाई? आवाज कहाँ से आ रही है? हाँ, कोई गधा लेके आ गया शायद. अय्यो.
Imagine if. Okay, I have a question this time. I really had this question for a long time, but I couldn't ask it. What if you were in the circumstance in which every single Mahabharat character comes back to life? Every single. Including, I'm afraid to say this, including Kans.
Okay, what would I do?
Yes. Who would you most likely go to as a friend?
Draupadi. She seems like a beautiful woman. And I'm single. So I would
Did you
take her
know
out
that?
on a date.
And did you
And
know?
I'll try to kill Arjun.
No, you
Because
can't.
she loves Arjun.
You can't. Did you know that Draupadi is the
I'll train from Balram, okay. Then I'll beat him.
and did you know that Draupadi is the least likely you would want to choose?
Why?
Okay, let me give you two reasons why. Firstly, she hates men. Secondly, she hates men. The only reason because she loved Arjun was actually because he was very strong, and Arjun actually loved her back before Kunti asked her to be divided. And in this book, Kunti and Yagyaseni hate each other, which is also wrong. Also wrong. It's so wrong.
Tell me top 3 wrong things that people know about Mahabharata. Misinformation.
Duryodhan was evil, Shakuni was evil, and Balram is an avatar of Vishnu.
Oh, तो किसका अवतार है बलराम?
ये शेषनाग.
शेषनाग का अवतार है. शेषनाग का ये भी है ना?
Lakshman. Yes.
Oh.
I mentioned it in the last podcast. That was why he's not idolized.
Right. That's why he's also not idolized. Correct.
Yes. Balram.
Balram is also
We
not.
don't ever say Lord Balram. We don't ever say Shri Balram.
How do you perceive the couple Ram Sita and Radha-Krishna? What is your take on both of them?
Take on yani?
Like ज़्यादा प्यार में कौन था?
it was Radha-Krishna. And everybody would agree with that.
Hmm.
Mostly everybody would agree with that.
Why?
That because when someone talks about the term lover, before Ram Sita, somebody would immediately, in my opinion, I would immediately think of Radha-Krishna first. And plus, as I said about what Radha said to Krishna's charioteer, depending on what Sita said, Sita was in love with Ram, but she was also hurt and she was also mad at Ram.
Right.
But even if Krishna did something, Radha would forgive him within like 3 milliseconds. and if she thought that Krishna did something, she would just jokingly be mad at him for a long time. Honestly.
Beautiful. If you had to change the ending, the climax of Mahabharata, how would you do it?
I would make the Pandavas stay. And I would make that Jara hunter thingy, whoever murdered. Oh yeah, by the way, did you know Vali, right? Well, Vali incarnated as Krishna's killer in his next life.
Wow. Next
So-
life.
Yes. Like the hunter who killed Krishna was Vali in his previous life.
Damn, I did not know that.
And I would murder that hunter in his sleep so that he can't kill Krishna. And then we would all see the Sudarshan Chakra going on some evil guy. I don't know who.
So you're an ultimate Krishna lover, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a Vaishnava.
You're a Vaishnava.
Vaishnava is like the Bhakt of Narayana.
Hmm.
Sometimes when somebody misbehaves in my class, I go, Narayana, Narayana, कैसे लोग आ गए हैं धरती पे? आपने कैसे लोग को भेजा है? Jokingly, of course.
I think we should start saying that instead of saying any curse words or abusive words. That's much better, right? You talk to the God.
And do you know, I have started greeting people in English. I say greetings. And in Hindi, I say Radhe Radhe.
Radhe Radhe.
Because I love Radha-Krishna. My favorite woman is Radha. My favorite man is Krishna.
Amazing. I hope you get a Krishna in your life when you grow up. A nice.
I love Krishna a lot. You know, I'm sort of like my friends say that I bet you will grow up to be Mirabai. She followed Krishna so much that when she died, some people say that Krishna का एक मूर्ति था, उसके अंदर her body or soul went. So her husband tried to kill her. Like, यानी जब वो garland लगाने वाली थी, he sent a messenger with a snake, poisonous.
Wow.
And he put it. Instead of a mattress, he put needles on her bed.
Wow.
And instead of prasad, he gave her poison.
Beautiful.
So the king is jealous of a god. Humans can never be god.
But gods can be human?
Yes.
They can be. Because gods are the one who gave us the idea of what
Yes.
human is.
You know the story of Paundrak Vasudev?
No.
There was this king who was a friend of Duryodhan. And his name was Paundrak. And oh my god, this is a very interesting story.
Tell me.
Okay. So he fooled himself into believing ki that fool, aka Lord Shri Krishna Narayana, is not the avatar I am. And he proved so by putting his kingdom in the east so that the sun rises with him.
Hmm.
And he sent a messenger to return the Kaumodaki mace, Sharanga, the lotus, and Sudarshan. After that, when he said that, I want war, when Krishna said that, the messenger said that, but you're calling your death. And so Krishna replied, if he is truly Vishnu, such a death will be dearer than life. Then when he came, he was looking so funny. He had like 2 wooden arms protruding awkwardly from his back, making him a 4-armed god. Then he had even a fake Srivatsa over here. I think you know what Srivatsa is. Huh.
Srivatsa.
He even had that here.
Yeah.
Wildflowers.
Yeah.
His skin was painted blue, which
Yeah.
was actually washing off.
Yeah.
He had even his own peacock feather
Wow.
and a flute, but he was actually looking very funny. So Brahmananda, or the egg of the universe, was watching amusingly at this fake god going to deduce a real one. When he thought that they will flee after seeing my glory. Instead, the Yadava army was laughing.
है
Yes.
ये मेन कृष्णा वाले इसमें टेल्स में है ना.
हाँ. And they were laughing like he was looking very funny. Then he looked at Krishna, and Krishna said that your kingdom has built you like a toy. A toy can never be human. A human can never be God. So you can never be God.
Right.
Then he screamed, "That's enough! Now give me my auspicious belongings back." Okay, then Krishna said, "Okay, if you want them, take them all." Then एक करके सब लोग को एक साथ सुदर्शन, bow and arrow, mace, threw it. एक करके सब कुछ क्रश कर दिया.
Wow.
पौंड्रक को. Then he said, "Beware of the Paundraks of the world. Please remember, I'm the real God." No, he didn't say that. He said that some people might try to trick you into believing that they're divine.
Why should this generation start reading Mahabharata?
It could give a lot of important morals. Mahabharata. I love that song for no reason.
Yeah.
I had a favorite character other than Panchali and Krishna, of course, in Mahabharata for a long time. Ever since I was born. I mean, I didn't know the Mahabharata then, but okay. Can you guess who it was?
I'm not going to play this game. I suck at it. You tell me.
I'll give you a hint. This person is a Pandav. But it's not at all Arjun.
Nakul.
No.
Sahadeva.
No.
Yudhishthir.
No.
और कौन पांडव है भाई?
Karna.
अच्छा सॉरी कर्ण. अच्छा technically okay.
He is a Pandav. By the scriptures.
By the scriptures.
And did you know that in this book, Palace of Illusions, Karna confessed to loving her in front of whom? Can you guess?
Draupadi.
No.
Then?
Pitama.
ये कौन सा क्या लिखा है भाई इसमें?
So he went to visit Pitama at night, वो bed of arrows पे, and he said, even knowing what I know, I desire her, I love her so much, and even though she's the wife of my younger brothers, I want to marry her. And when Kunti said that instead of Yudhishthir I'd be king, I still didn't want to join, but when she said I'd be the husband of Draupadi too, I wanted to throw away everything that I had, and I wanted to join them.
Damn.
In this
कुछ अलग ही मटेरियल पढ़ रही है बंदी.
Palace of Illusions.
Okay, Palace of Illusion. You need to avoid reading it.
Yes, it's very weird. It's weird. I like the book, but there are some very, very, very weird things
which
in it.
you need to inspect for sure. If you want to convince a person watching this podcast to read Mahabharata, how would you do it?
नारायण नारायण मेरे को ये वरदान दो कि मैं किसी को भी कन्विंस कर सकती हूँ कुछ भी चीज के लिए. Okay, thank you. Bye. Now you have to read the Mahabharata.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. It's actually very helpful. When I read it, I felt like I changed from Jayanti Mangala Kali to Krishna for once. Thank God.
So basically, her narratives of personality has changed, and she keeps on changing in every podcast. So in this one, she was way more comfortable and way more energetic.
Yes.